Circuit Finals Gaming. The other one, SBS Cam, just finished. I'm quite tired, but I'm also really devoted to the grind. So here we are, as Just Franco, who is the top seed and has been steamrolling UU all year and also just got into SPL, is on the bottom with a bunch of boosters and a Ceruledge and a Lunadance Cresselia, which isn't what you want to be loading into the extremely fat team that Big Fat Mantis has got. But regardless, he's got to try and make something happen, as he's immediately got to pull back his treads into the Moth, who, I mean, this is fine because you don't need your Quark Drive speed because the entire BFM team is slow as balls. But also, there is a Hisuian Gudra with Wish support. You're probably never doing anything with your Moth. As, yeah, you just Fiery Dance to kind of scope out what it is. We see it's Assault Vest from the damage and lack of lefties. And now you have the enviable task of figuring out who wants to switch into this. Hopefully, you can get your rocks now with treads, and it is kind of nice that on such a slow team it's fine to have wasted your booster on this as well. So what can Franco do into this? The Ceruledge is really nice. It has to terror around the treads especially, but Mr. Ledge can be quite threatening. Weirdly, Iron Leaves is kinda good. Not generally a mon that I respect, but after a Swords Dance, Leaf Blade, Close Combat, Sideblade is actually really nice coverage. And you got the Cress in the back to probably cripple something with a Scarf, and then Lunadance somebody else back up. So maybe you can do something like be aggressive with Ceruledge early, try and smash through something, Lunadance it back up with Cresselia later. Or the same thing with Iron Leaves, whose booster energy you also don't really need into such a slow team. Although you will be slower than the treads, which is a bit of a shame. If it was a booster energy attack Iron Leaves, that'd be really threatening. I've seen those before with Trailblaze to make up for the speed, but it probably isn't. Rocks are up, Moth is in, Flip Turn does loads, and I mean, at least the Gudra has to take 6. You got that going for you. And yeah, on a team this aggressive from Franco that has no survivability to it, I can see why you'd want to just give up the Moth, because you're never doing anything into a Gudra that has Wish support. Back into treads, Draco does a bunch, and what do you want to do here? If you're Volt Switch, you could go for that, but it won't be on a lead. You could knock off the Alamamola, though if it's Helmet, then you'll just die. Instead we see Ceruledge, who... what's that trying to catch? I think that's trying to catch the Wheezing, but we see from the Aloe taking damage from the rocks that it probably is Helmet, and so that would have made the treads take the Helmet damage, and because it dies, it wouldn't be knocked off. But yeah, no messing around from Franco, we're just going straight for the setup here. And this does put BFM in quite a unpleasant position, in that you can't flip out into treads because you'll give it its weak armor. And if Franco is able to just do some damage before the treads comes into revenge, then he can then switch out and Lunadance it later and hopefully try and win that way. But you don't kill this with Poltergeist. So what do you want to do? You can take another Scald, and then you'll lower, but then you are guaranteed a kill with Poltergeist the next turn. So a way that you can get more out of it than that, I'm not sure that there is. I think you might have to just take your kill, and then Lunar Dance it back up later. Not sure if you can get more out of it, short of BFM doing something very silly like flip turning. Okay. He must have a terror in mind to deny this, because there's no way you do that otherwise. But it's difficult to terror around a potential Bitterblade or Poltergeist when you have to account for both. What's going on here? The pause after the flip turn of not immediately knowing who you're going to go into is interesting. Surely that's not just it. Surely that's not just over. I think you had to Scald and then just sack somebody and then go Treads there. Sinister comes in, who you've got your heat proof, but it is a +4 Bitterblade. Yeah. That's still going to be a very strong hit, and Heatproof isn't doing anything for you against Poltergeist. Terror Poison, Poltergeist, yeah, dead. That crit didn't matter. If we're Terror Ghost, then I think Franco just wins. I'm not sure if +4 Poltergeist kills from this range. I want to lean towards it doesn't without the Terror. Yeah, I don't think that was a very good flip turn from BFM. Franco is, as we speak, probably calcing +4 Poltergeist on the Aloe. And what does Sinister Dead do for everybody else? Well, Iron Leaves likes that Sinister is dead a lot if Franco doesn't just win on the spot with the Ceruledge. Garchomp is quite happy to see that too. Oh, okay, I'm wrong. It kills. I think that's game. I mean, yeah, you have to, what, dodge a Poltergeist or just get Bitterbladed and back up to health? Yeah, turn 12, GG, says BFM. That was one of the games of all time, one of the flip turns of all time. I don't know what that flip turn was about, but it's going to be a very uphill battle for BFM from here. He's got to win 2 against the top-seeded guy. I don't understand why he flip turned. Did he just forget? Like, surely you had to just sack something and then revenge with your treads. I don't really have much to add other than bemusement, so hopefully, because I really can't be asked to edit, they just start the next game soon, so we can talk about that instead. Yeah, for how unimpressed Franco must have been to load into this, into winning that quickly. Here's game 2. Right, we've got kind of a role reversal this time, as Franco's bringing the very fat with some random Lycanroc. I'm not sure what that's about, but BFM doesn't have as aggressive of a team as Franco had, but still in the kind of balanced, bulky offense range. There's a random Diancie, which is kind of cool. You don't see a lot of those. But I don't really know what Lycanroc is doing on this kind of a structure. Typically that's either, I say either, not either at all, typically that is a lead on hyper offense to taunt and set rocks. Aloe lead into a Moongus lead, sure. And what do you want to do here? You kind of have to just sacrifice someone to sleep, I think. That's rough. And with a Blissey, you're quite happy into a Gren that's never going to threaten anything. Unless it's something like a Spike setter, which could be nice, but normally they're just Battle Bond and 4 attacks. Ceruledge is a bit less threatening into you this time when you have Alomomola plus Quagsire plus Zapdos. Now you can kind of just flip into it willy-nilly because you have a Quag to go into who doesn't really care. Flip, back into Blissey, Spore, sure. I get the vibe that this game might take a bit longer than the last one did. Just my 2 cents. If the Latios is Trick, then you could try and use that to get the Blissey crippled. Which I think is about as much as the Lati is going to be contributing until the Blissey dies. In comes Treads. In comes Lati. You got to respect something like a Spec Surf, so got to switch out here. You could try and catch the Blissey with the Trick here, which would open up your Greninja a lot. You could also kind of condition a bit first and see what they want to do. Okay, Aura Sphere, that works. I think the Aloe from Franco is a sort of mid-ground of, like, Surf is fine, Aura Sphere is fine, Trick isn't great, but it means that the Blissey won't get tricked. So, very sensible from Franco there. I don't know what 30 on a crit means. Probably means not specs, but it could be sold you, it could be a variety of things, as we see what's probably sold you on that Luster Purge. As Bliss is going to just heal up, and now that we know that the Latios is sold you and not tricking a Scarf or a Specs, it's going to be difficult for it to do very much. Maybe if it's flip turn it can sort of hit into the Blissey and flip out and make it soft boiled. But I'm immediately kind of going, I don't know how BFM wins this. With the Treads having rocked, the Diancie isn't rocked, which might mean it's some kind of setup thing, but there is a Mon on Franco's team who kind of cucks setup things. So that's a shame. Especially if you're something like Iron Defense Body Press, which Quag is just never going to care about. Although it's not like you ever have to concede any progress to Quag, because you always have a Moongus on it. It's just really difficult to... Yep, Aura Sphere doesn't kill, takes a knock, loses its Soul Dew, which, I mean, sucks, but also you're not doing anything into the Bliss anyway, so I kind of see why you'd go for it. How badly did you need the damage on the Treads? Maybe some kind of Diancie win con might want that, but otherwise I'm kind of going, that doesn't seem that important for your other win cons. Bliss comes in, takes 2%. Don't think I've ever seen a foul play do that little before. Seismic Toss, Balloon, sure, and you do what here? Okay, so you don't want to knock things off with your Treads because you want to poltergeist things with your Ceruledge, which is understandable. But while we're in an inverted position of last game where Franco had the Ceruledge in on the Aloe and just won, not the case for BFM because of the Quag, sadly. So if I'm Franco, I am just flip turning here, and then I'm going into Quagsire, and then I'm being really annoying and never dying. And it's quite awkward to Terra Ghost to, I think, 2-hit KO the Quag with Poltergeist. Because if you Terra Ghost, then you can get burned by Scald. And if you get burned by Scald, then it's just over. Ooh, bulk up, okay. 20, that's... Oh, lefties, that's quite cool. Yeah, you'd normally see a Ceruledge be boots, but bulk up lefties is very cool if you're able to keep the hazards off. But the Aloe can just flip into the Quag, is the problem that you've got here. As, yeah, we don't see weak armor because this is clearly a much slower, more defensive Ceruledge. Quagsire takes rocks and doesn't get lefties, which probably means it's Helmet, which if you are looking to Poltergeist through it, is actually pretty great for you as a Ceruledge. But you don't want to take a Toxic here, but you also don't want to Taunt and take an Earthquake that ignores your boosts with Unaware. So this is difficult, and you have kind of just taken damage on Ceruledge for no reason if you don't do something with it here. Yeah, this is really tough. I'm just so curious about what the Diancie is. I don't even know what Diancie does this gen. It does get Calm Mind. Maybe it's some kind of Calm Mind plus Iron Defense funny business. Which, if it is that, then I suddenly understand a lot more why you just go for the damage on treads at the expense of your Latios. Right. Terra not Ghost makes Poltergeist do nothing on a spike, okay. Well, you can taunt it to stop it recovering, and then you can Poltergeist it down. I think when it's revealed... Oh no, it hadn't revealed taunt, okay. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that is cool. And that 2-hit KOing is also cool, in that now you don't even get a chance to fish for a Scald Burn. Very interesting. I need to stop saying when things look over or when a matchup looks horrible, because I've clearly got no idea. It's quite cool, this kind of Ceruledge. I was considering bringing one myself. It's just sort of an awkward one of, you can be absolutely devastating into fat, but then when you load into an offense, you're just kicking yourself going, why didn't I just use a normal Swords Dance weak armor one? But BFM has clearly got the call correct here, which it makes a lot of sense. Franco is known for using, he can use anything, but he's known for using very fat things a lot of the time. I was meant to play Franco for a tiebreak in Spanish PL a couple of months ago. He tried to right fucking Naomi with a team that I later found out was the most disgusting stall you've ever seen, but I didn't end up having to play the game because our other two tiebreak guys lost before our game. I say this with no, like, hostility, by the way, it's just funny. So now what do? You probably just Scald fishing for a burn? No, you flip turn, okay. Flip into who? Treads, right? Sure. To do what? To take the lefties? Yep, sure, okay. Now what, though? Do you go... I don't think Poltergeist is contact, so you won't get paralyzed from Zap static. If you're Discharge or something, then you could try and fish with the Zap that way. What else can you do? You can, if you're Lycan Rock, you could try and find a Stone Edge crit. That might kind of be it. Difficult. Good set, this. So we do see the zap. And yeah, your options here are Thunderbolt Discharge, whatever, Paralyze, Hurricane Confuse, hope that BFM has a stroke and clicks Bitter Blade and risks the paralysis unnecessarily. It's not the best odds ever, but it's something to go for. There's some kind of out. And weirder things have happened. It would be a shame for this game to end without us seeing what the Diancie is. Because I am really curious. Thunderwave, that also works. Poltergeist, only does... that does less than I thought it would. I suppose Fizdef, Zapdos, and uninvested Ceruledge. Now that you're paralysed, you're free to just Bitter Blade. Because you don't need to worry about a static and you may as well get some health back. Volt out, okay. Into who? Into Quagsire, who, if the Quag is faster now that it's been paralysed, but it isn't, okay. So this could still be quite dicey, but you've got the paralysis to fish for. That helps. Bitter Blade into range of Poltergeist, sure. Okay, yeah, maybe this is fine. But Franco, if he is getting out of this, he's getting out of it with the Blissey alive, which is going to continue to just invalidate the Greninja. Your Zapdos is low, but you don't really need the Zap for much else. To be fair, Treads could be threatening with how low everything is, but I think you're gonna just find chances to get your Aloe some regen, and then the Treads isn't really doing anything. Franco says, how much speed did that have? I'm very confused. Clearly expecting his Quag to have outsped with the paralysis. It makes sense to have some speed. I think at the very least you want to be speed creeping your kind of base 60s, maybe Tyranitar while you're at it at 61. BFM says just enough, which I think is trying to wind Franco up, because it just isn't to outspeed Quagsire while you're paralysed. Maybe you could catch things like Sinisture. Evidently some amount of speed, whatever the case. In comes Mr. Treads. And we're probably seeing a knockoff here. Aloe comes in. Okay, spin. The crit could be annoying if that brings it into range of Earthquake. That could be really frustrating, actually. Because if you live a hit here, then you just get to Wish, and then you're healthy again, and then you're probably never dying, and then you probably win the game. So I think Franco got out of that relatively in the clear. In that he's got some stuff low, but it's only the Quag who's dead, and he only really needed the Quag to deal with the Ceruledge. And I mean, Treads being dead and Rocks being up sucks, but it's a worthwhile trade to get rid of that enormous existential threat. You probably want to just switch out to get your regen and then have your Aloe definitely be never dying. Or you can just be confident and do that. That works. Yep, Aloe's healthy again. Now it's never dying. Very sad. And now you have the freest Blissey of your entire life. Is the Diancie opened up by the death of the Quagsire? Possibly. Dark Pulse, oh, it's a Life Orb Gren as well, so it's going to just impale itself on the Blissey. That's bleak for BFM. I don't know why you're giving up your Gren's HP on this, when you could just go Amoonguss and be fine. If you were Spikes on Greninja, that would be cool, but you're clearly not because you would have gone for them. Treads comes in here, which is just taking the most it can do is Seismic Toss, so you might as well get an extra knockoff out of it. Or Earthquake, okay. I think that probably wanted to be a knockoff. Latios, Wish, sure, and now we're just seeing kind of wishy-fishy hours. If you recover on the Latios, that's quite helpful. I don't know off the top of my head how much Draco does to Alomomola unboosted. It'll be a lot, and even if it doesn't kill, you definitely don't want to risk the crit, especially when you have a Blissey. Yeah, the Lycanroc I'm extremely curious about. I doubt it's doing loads when there's a full health Amoonguss and a Gren that can revenge it. But it is there. It is menacing. Draco missed. That sucks. Flip out. And now Zap gets healthy. That's quite tough. I mean, I imagine it lived. But you would have had the chance to crit, at the very least, and I don't know that I love from Franco running the risk of a Draco crit to get your Zap back up there, but clearly he deems it necessary. He's probably doing that so that you can go into it on the treads and not have to give up his boots on the Aloe. But I feel like you mostly need the Aloe for the treads anyway. Whatever the case, it works out for him, and he's the top seed, and I'm already out of the circuit, so what do I know? And you kind of got to switch back out here because you don't like taking a Draco. 27, that's decent on the Blissey. If you're flip turn, then you at least do probably 38, but you're not. I don't know what the last on the Latios is, because if it was recover, then you probably go for it there. If it was flip turn, you definitely go for it there. Maybe it's just something like Surf or Shadow Ball. Probably just extra coverage that isn't very helpful here. Oh, Calm Mind Blissey. Okay. Which he reveals and then gets out of the way. I don't know why the treads isn't knocking. Maybe it's Ice Spinner last? If it is Ice Spinner last, then that's a damn shame, because knock would be really helpful here. And the Ceruledge is dead, so you don't have to worry about that. And I think even on a Poltergeist team, it'd be weird not to have any knockoff anywhere. But maybe that is what this Treads is. Spore, Natural Cure, sure, whatever. Could go Diancie here. Show us the Diancie BFM, please. But he's probably holding on to it. If it is dual setup, then it could be very good. You just don't want to get Scald burnt. Latios comes in. Sure. Doesn't catch the double that he was hoping for, so has to come back out. Aloe on an Earthquake. Yep, can do this all day. Scald. This feels quite Gen 8 to me. Flip, Blissey, Spore. And it looks like they're getting into this cycle, which I want to say is beneficial to Franco, in that there's just more longevity to regen and Wish and Blissey versus only one regen and nothing else with recovery. If I'm Sludge Bomb on this Amoonguss, then I probably just start Sludge Bombing and try to get some things poisoned to make progress that way. The Calm Mind Blissey's annoying, but you've already taken 3 of its 8 soft-boileds, and nothing else wants to be poisoned. But it might just be Clear Smog instead, which obviously takes away that option. Seismic Toss, 24, Spore, sure. probably treads here. Earthquaking. Diancie, finally, let's go. Okay. So what's this Diancie going to be? And is it going to just set up now, or is it BFM just trying to kind of mix up the sequence to keep Franco on his Iron Defense? There we go. Okay. Are we going to start seeing Calm Minds here, or do we not want to get Scald burnt? Or is Iron Defense its only setup thing? Substitute would be really cool, but it probably isn't. I think it depends what else you've got as an attack. Probably Stored Power as a last. If you get Scald Burnt, is it just over? Because then Blissey can probably come in and just Seismic Toss at you. But if you're able to get damage on the Blissey with a trade, then your Gren gets good. Yeah, for the second time, slightly weird setup WinCon that BFM has is being a threat, and Franco's got to get out of it alive. Iron Defense again, Scald, 14, Burn. Okay. Well, if BFM is just setting up on the Aloe, then he's clearly accepting the chance that he might get burnt. Which probably means he either... Oh, Draining Kiss, okay. Didn't know Diancie got that, but now we know. I suppose +4 body press, even burn, is probably enough to annoy the Blissey. Calm Mind again. Flip turn. Into what? Who do you go into? You could try to crit with a Stone Edge with Lichen Rock. Or you can Zapdos to do what? Just vault out into Bliss? Or back to Aloe? Sure. Draining Kiss does loads, gets all the HP back. Yeah, I think you have to go Lichen Rock. And crit. Iron Defense again. Wish. Well, Franco does still have his Terror, so there's that. But I'm not sure what you can Terror to get out of such a situation. We don't know if it's Body Press or Stored Power last. Though I don't think it really matters, in that both of them are clearly very good here. Is the Lichen Rock not Stone Edge to not be going in? Because I feel like you wanted to go Lichen Rock before it got really set up, so that a Draining Kiss doesn't just get all the HP back and you might get 2 chances to crit. Not that a crit would kill the Diancie, but it would do more damage than you're currently doing. And if Franco has any Terror Steals, then that helps if it is Stored Power Draining Kiss over Body Press, but I don't think there's any Terrors that make him win. This Aloe is probably Terra Fairy. Here comes Bliss, so you at least get some guaranteed damage from the Seismic Toss, but then you just give it all straight back from Draining Kisses. Unless you're able to waste all the Draining Kisses, but I don't think you can when there's also Stored Power or Body Press. I'm quite curious about this lichen rock and what it's doing. So out of place. Because I'm kind of going, when you have 5 fat mons without a win con like this, you've got to have ways to deny their bulky setup. But then BFM was able to get around the Quagsire really well. And to be fair, this could still threaten a Quagsire with stored power because it ignores the boosts, but the stored power still gets powerful. Though I suppose you would get Earthquakes into unboosted defense. The BFM's used over a minute now, and Franco's also used more than 30 seconds of timer. There's the body press, doing 97. Calm Mind, not gonna save you. That's rough. Is there anything left for Franco to do? I don't think so, other than maybe show us what his weird random lichen rock is. I mean, you can just Drain and Kiss here to get a little smidgen of HP back. Yeah, nice 4%. Could always come in handy. Right, now we're Lichen Rock and fishing. Terra Fight, CC, 17. Ouch. Body Press, gone. GGs are exchanged. Just Franco forfeits. And with that, the top seed is upset by the bottom seed in the finals. And we're shown what I know, where... Oh, no, he's not upset. Sorry. Well, he is upset in that one game, but he's not entirely upset in that there's one more game. Sorry, I just totally zoned out there. Might be. And so that does bring us to a game 3, as in both game 1 and game 2, I've gone, this looks really in the favour of the guy that ends up losing. I hope you do enjoy my wonderful wise insights despite that. Yeah, we saw 2 very odd mons on each side, but BFM's odd mon clearly did a lot more than Franco's. It was just very well worked to use the Ceruledge to get past the Quagsire to open up your other big setup win con. And Can't Mind Blissey was also kind of cool. It's a good thing that the Diancie was body press and not stored power, because if it was stored power, then the Blissey could have just calm minded up alongside it. And those are some of my musings as I desperately try to entertain you until Game 3 starts, because I am not an enthusiast of editing. I also really like both of the customs. The Bayleaf is fun, and the Candice on a table is also quite nice. Where's Game 3? Come on, lads. The Latios sack into the treads definitely does make a lot more sense when we've seen that that was the Diancie, which I think I said earlier, but ended up being vindicated. And finally, Game 3. Here we go. Okay, so Franco is reusing his offense from Game 1, and BFM has got the cheapest team I've ever seen, which is Veil plus loads of scary setup things. Who looks better here? Ice Spinner, sure. Rapid Spin, whatever. Wonder what the Komodo is. The Komodo could be a few things. Probably the normal would be like Clangor of Soul, Throat Spray, Boom Burst, Clanging Scales, those kinds of vibes. I saw a really tragic one on the ladder the other day, which was Substitute, Clangor of Soul Blaze. Is that the one that boosts all its attacks? Whatever the Omni Boost move is, that. And then it would Drain Punch and Dragon Claw, so it would set up, then it still wouldn't kill anything. It was quite dire. But this Komodo probably isn't that. Who else? The Moltres looks really threatening if it's able to get itself set up. Which it can behind a Veil on quite a lot of things. Ogerpon, standard Ogerpon things. The opposing Ceruledges is cool, and if they're both Sash, then this treads off in who can keep the hazards up / keep the hazards off is going to be really important. Now they're both equally fast, and I think Franco's treads should kill BFMs from here. I was gonna say, while BFMs won't in return, but it will when you terror it, and so BFM goes to drastic measures to ensure that the rocks stay off, which makes a lot of sense when you have a Moltres and a Sturdy guy, and a Ceruledge, and a Ninetales. So Franco is probably going to go into Booster Moth to kill this, just to deny it getting the rocks up. I also think you may as well just early Moth, because into a Ceruledge and a Komodo and a Moltres, you're probably not having an incredible Moth gaming, and so you can just kind of spend its booster energy, I think. Franco is sad to have lost a speed tie, which is understandable. If it's any consolation, Franco, I also lost a tread speed tie in my UU circuit earlier today, and I was also quite sad. I feel you on that one. Solidarity. There's Moth. And this is presumably just an energy ball. Which is going to give you what from Mantis? You might not want to blow your Ceruledge's Sash, but you might have to, just to not give a load of progress up to this Moth. Yeah, there's a Ceruledge, Energy Ball. You can't Poltergeist it, because the booster energy is been used. But also, the Moth can't really threaten you. And Chomp comes in on not a Poltergeist, so it doesn't really care. Rough Skin, your Sash is broken. That's quite nice for Franco, and nice for Franco's Ceruledge especially. What do you want to do here as Chomp? Hard Ninetales, okay, which is going to take the Earthquake really well because it's got the defense boost from the snow. I was about to say that Swords Dance is pointless because that can come in. And the Moth gets back in on the Aurora Veil. But now what? You can maybe double, but it's hard to make doubles while the Veil is up because it's hard to pressure things while the Veil is there. If your Chomp is Dragon Tail, that'd be really nice, but it probably isn't on this kind of team. Ceruledge comes back in. Fiery Dance, not a double. Okay. Big 11. And what do you want to do now? Sometimes in OU, these things are like Terra Ground, smack a Heatran, but Heatran hasn't been down here for a while, so that probably won't be the case here. Back into Chomp as BFM doubles Treads. Okay. I was feeling like a Swords Dance there as Ceruledge is quite reasonable, but I'm not sure about how much Scale Shot does getting every defense dropping on every hit from behind an Aurora Veil, and Treads works. So what's this going to be? I say what's this going to be, that's not a question at all. It's going to be Rocks, because their Treads is dead, and they can't remove them, and a Ceruledge and a Moth into Rocks are going to be quite sad. As we approach the hour mark on the second thing I've recorded today, I'm quite tired, and I'm going to go straight to bed after this. But for now, I'm going to keep the energy and the entertainment up. Franco's the one who's taking time, which makes sense, because for BFM there's not very much to think about. What do you want to do as Franco? You go into your Ceruledge, okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because you're getting it in before you, before the rocks go up, so before your sash gets broken. And you're probably Swords Dancing as you get Earthquaked to your sash, and you get your weak armor. There's that. Moltres, sure. And BFM's going Moltres because he doesn't want to give it its speed. And if he hits it with special attacks instead, then he doesn't have to. A crit through the Aurora Veil would be quite sad for BFM. And what do you do as Franco? Because if you just take the fiery Wrath, don't get flinched, and hit for what amounts to a neutral Bitter Blade into this, then it's fine. It's not amazing value for your Ceruledge, but with the rocks up that you can't remove, it might be the best that you're getting. And the Moltres is quite scary, so you do kind of need damage on it. I think after this Aurora Veil, you're going to have to try very hard as Franco to not let another one go up, which limits your ability to go into Chomp, because that will let one up. So your Moth and Leaves are going to need to do some heavy lifting on keeping out the Ninetales. And BFM still has the fallback. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, that definitely works, and now you Bitter Blade and get loads of HP back. Ceruledge is not typically faster than the Moltres, but presumably this Ceruledge is jolly and the Moltres is modest because it wants to just agility up. So you are faster, and that's really useful here. And it's Bitter Blading time here. If you get a crit and kill it through this, then that would be really lovely to have your sash intact. But we'll see if that happens or not. And Terra Fairy, we're seeing a lot of Terra Fairy Ceruledge today, it's good. It's nice because I don't think anything really one-shots it, so if you're able to get through this Moltres on reasonable health, maybe dodge a Hurricane here, then you can probably get another kill after that, which is cool. I'm also wondering if it's Shadow Sneak or Close Combat, or something weird like Taunt again, which isn't good on non-bulk up, so it probably isn't. And you got reasonable odds. Between a Hurricane dodge and a Bitter Blade crit. You've got things to go for here. You're still on the back foot, but you kind of have things. Okay, BFM goes Ninetales on that. If you're Encore, then that can be really annoying, as can Hypnosis. You could maybe Shadow Sneak, but I don't think you'll kill between the Aurora Veil and the thingy. And the snow. Franco is setting up again so that you can live a Hurricane and then just kill the Moltres and get all of the HP back with Fiery Bath, even through the screen. But BFM gets him on the hard Ninetales into the Encoring this. And so you're no longer quite kind of winning on the spot or getting massive, massive progress anymore. You still get to kill something, but I don't think that's going to be enough when you're already down a Mon and there's rocks up. And so BFM is just figuring out who he wants to sack now. And who do you want to sack? I definitely think you keep this, because you can get another Aurora Veil. And then you probably win the game. So it becomes who don't you need. Maybe Komodo? It's down to 15 seconds. Don't need Ceruledge. Fair enough. Okay. Right, Ceruledge is dead. Ogerpon comes into revenge. That makes a lot of sense. And, I mean, we see how important it is that the rocks stay off, as Sturdy is activated. And it's kind of tough for Franco who you go into now, because Iron Moth is a speed tie, Garchomp will take a really big hit. Iron Leaves, you better hope that it's booster energy speed. And not booster attack. Yep, here is Mr. Leaves. Speed. There you go. Psyblade. Dead. Sure. This is almost really threatening, but I don't think it kills Komodo from full, and you also don't kill Moltres. If you could Terror to find a Swords Dance, then that would be really nice, but you can't because you've used it. In comes the Moltres. If you're Stone Edge, then you can go for a crit, but you're not. Agility, okay. Fiery Wrath. Lives. Wild Charge kills, okay. That, what does that do? That's quite nice for Moth. I mean, I see why you Fiery Wrath over Hurricane, in that if you miss, then you lose. But it doesn't kill because Iron Leaves has to run some bulk, because to get the booster energy speed, it can't be running maximum attack, because then its attack will be higher than its speed, so you got to just put the rest into bulk instead. In comes the Cress, who does allow the Aurora Veil, as it tricks that away, but then, having gotten rid of its Scarf, depending on the Cress's moves, then it could just beat the remaining things. Is it Trick plus Calm Mind? Or does it want to just heal somebody else back? Thunderwave whiffs, okay. I think it must just not... Does it just not have any attacks? Because it'll probably be Lunar Dance. I don't know what its last is. But presumably if you had an attack, then you would have just killed the Ninetales to deny it the Aurora Veil. And you're Thunderwaving repeatedly just to waste turns of the thingy. Ah, Ice Beam, okay. And he was reticent on showing the Ice Beam because then the Ninetales is emboldened to just come back in like this. But it at least can't put another Veil up. Hypnosis, sure. Yeah, Ice Beam is nice into the Treads and the Komodo, and if it's Moonlight Last, then the Cress could just about clutch it. The Moth is very threatening here, but it won't kill the Komodo from full, and even if it gets a Fiery Dance boost and has Dazzling Gleam, I'm not sure, I don't think +1 Dazzling Gleam will kill the Komodo. Although if it's an Omni boosting Komodo, then you just have to get it below nice crit, eke out a bit more damage. You've just got to get the Komodo below the 33% that it costs to get its Omni boost. There's a Veil, there's a Thunder Wave. You do that rather than kill it, just to waste some more Veil turns, very sensible. And I believe you just Thunder Wave again, so that if the Komodo comes in, you catch it, and if the Treads comes in, then you waste more time. Because you don't want to Ice Beam, do like 30... Not 30, do like 19 to Komodo and give it a substitute would be the worry. Has this Cress got Moonlight Last, or is it Lunar Dance? Ninetales comes in, trying to get another Hypnosis probably, but you got to break through the power and land the Hypnosis. This is a weird endgame. I wouldn't have expected this. Hypnosis, sure. You still just don't... Franco's being sensible, because you don't want to let the Komodo in with the Veil up, because then it can substitute on you, because you won't break it with the Ice Beam, and then things could get hairy. I wonder if it's Belly Drum Komodo. That would be cool. I used that in a draft game once, years ago, and 6-0'd from lead. It was very funny. I substituted on a Thunder Wave, and then it was over. Komodo comes in here, and gets outsped and Thunder Waved. Okay. As Clanging Scales, not even Throat Spray. I don't know what this Komodo is then. That's bizarre. And if you take an Ice Beam from the Cress, then you can get killed by Moth. What a strange endgame. Back into Ninetales as we see the Lunar Dance into Chomp. Yeah, that makes sense. You wanna scale shot the Komodo. Makes a lot of sense. But then Treads comes in and can Ice Spinner. And okay, so if you go Moth on an Ice Spinner, you outspeed and can kill it and threaten things, and it should be that. But if it would have Earthquaked, then the Chomp would live, but the Moth wouldn't. You get the boost. So what's this Komodo got, and what have you got? Even +1 Sludge Wave. Probably 2-hit KOs? I don't understand what this Komodo is. It shouldn't be Earthquake when it's Clanging Scales. Sludge Wave does 1,000,000 and it gets full powered, so we'll never know. And with that, after a very interesting series, I hope we'll agree, Franco ekes it out in an extremely strange endgame. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna go and collapse. Good night.